All right, hey guys. Today what we're going to do for our Thursday optional assignment is we are going to make sled kites. So I made one the other day as an example and so that I could test it out. This is mine. So this is the sled portion of the kite attached to the string that you hold onto, and then I've created a tail for my kite. So what I'm going to do for you now is I am going to take you step by step through the process on how to make your own sled kite. Right? So the things that you're going to need, and most of these things are in the first science envelope that we got right after spring break. You are going to need the sled kite template. It's on kind of a thicker cardstock paper. You're going to need the 2 straws that are in the envelope. You're going to need the paper clip, the string, and the streamer material. And this stuff was in the plastic baggie that was in your envelope. In addition, you'll need some crayons or some colored pencils so that you can decorate your kite. You'll need some masking tape or scotch tape, a ruler, and some scissors. So why don't you go ahead and pause the video until you have these materials, and then come back and restart it, and you can catch up to where we are in the making of the kite. Okay, so the first step is using your sled template. Go ahead and decorate your kite. So I did, this was my first one that I made yesterday. In the savings of time, I have made my second one that I'm going to do with you today, just slightly less decorated, but nonetheless expresses my feelings about science. Okay. So after you have decorated your sled, you can go ahead and pause the video here as well if you would like to go ahead and make your sled nice and beautiful. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead with the template that I have pre-decorated for you. So the first step after you have decorated your template is to go ahead and cut it out. And you're going to want to cut it out just along the solid black lines. Do not cut at the dashed lines, all right? So let's go ahead, and that'll be our first step, is to just cut along those solid black lines. Okay. It makes kind of a wonky hexagon once we have it cut out. Okay, a 6-sided figure. All right. All right. So I have now cut out my sled kite template. And the next step is, once we're at this place, is I'm going to ask you to unwrap the 2 straws that are in your folder, because we don't want the paper on them. We just want the straw itself. Okay? These straws are slightly too long. So the first thing we're going to do at this stage is we're going to actually lay the straws along the dashed lines, and we're going to tape them on. This is going to give the kite a little bit of heft to it, a little weight to it up in the air, and keep it strong and steady in the shape that it is. So what I'll have you do at this point is lay the straw along the length of the kite, and then cut it off so that it is even with the bottom. Okay, like that for the first one. And then go ahead and do the second one, lay it along the dashed line until it is even on the top and the bottom, and then snip it off, okay? So after you have your straw cut the correct length, we're gonna go ahead and tape those down. You just need a couple pieces of scotch tape or masking tape, they both should work. Go ahead and put the tape, you only need about 1 inch of tape, onto the straw, and then lay it on there and secure it down. If you want, you can put your straw on first and then your tape and secure it down. Either way, it should work. So whatever is easiest for you with only one set of hands, okay? And this will be the stage that you're at, okay? So your straws should now be firmly affixed to your kite template. All right, once we are at this stage, what we're going to do is our string for our kite is going to be attached through the 2 sides, the 2 black holes on either side of the kite. But because the wind is gonna pull on your kite and you're gonna pull on the thread, if we don't reinforce those holes, it'll just pull right through. We'll yank the string right out of the paper. So what we're going to do is where it says tape, you're going to take 3 pieces of tape, either the masking tape or the Scotch tape. You're going to lay it over one side and then you're going to fold it around back. And I'm going to have you do that 3 times on each side. So lay it over the tape mark, fold it around back. Over the tape and fold it around back. This is going to provide a reinforcement or a thickening of the paper at those 2 spots. Okay, so lay it down and fold it around. Lay it down and fold it around. Lay it down and lastly fold it around. Okay. As you can see though, now the tape has squared off our edges at that point. So you can go ahead and take your scissors and trim down the excess tape so that we have a point there again on both sides. Just trim off that excess tape, but now you have nice and thick corners right here. All right, the next thing you're going to want to do, and this is the thing I forgot to get, there's always one thing I forget to get, is a hole punch. So I'm going to go grab that really quick. Okay, I'm back. All right, so now I have a hole punch. Okay, so at the place where it, the black circle is on your template, go ahead and punch a hole there on both sides. Okay, on both sides. Okay, I now have a hole. You can see it, the light coming through. This is where I'm going to put my string for my kite. Okay. If you don't have a hole punch, you can use anything to poke a hole through there, something sharp so that you don't rip the paper. But if you don't happen to have one of these, any kind of implement or awl that can make a hole will work fine through there. All right, next, we are going to take our string. Okay, gently pull the string end so that you don't create a knot with it. And what we're going to do first is we're going to measure off 2 16-inch pieces of string. So using your ruler, find about 16 inches. The exact length is not critical. So if you can't get it exactly 16 inches, that's fine. Okay, so once you have one piece, go ahead and use that piece as the measurement for your second piece. Okay. Okay, taking now one, so now I have 2 16-inch pieces of string. I'm going to take the first one and I'm going to pull it through one of those 2 holes. Okay, one of those 2 holes, and I'm going to tie it gently. You want it to be, you know, tight, but you don't want to pull it so tight that you actually rip the hole out. So when you're doing it, just try to do it as gently as you can. You want to at least make a double knot, preferably a triple knot if you can. Okay, so go ahead and fold it through to make sure that it is nice and securely onto one side of your kite, like this. Okay, once you have one side connected, go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. And try and make most of the string on one end. You only want to put a small amount of the string coming off the other side, right? So you should have most of your string on one side. And this is because these strings are going to pull on our kite. Once you have your 2, I'm in trouble here. Your 2 strings attached, you can trim off the excess string if you would like. It shouldn't make too much of a difference, but if you would like to trim it down, right, trim off this piece a little bit so that it's not quite as long, you can go ahead and do that. tape on my scissors. Okay, so now at this point, what you should have is your sled kite template attached to 2 pieces of about 16-inch long string. All right, what you want to do now is you want to lay the decorated side straws down flat on your table, and you want to gather the 2 pieces of string together like this. Okay, you're going to hold them together, and through your paper clip, you're going to tie them through one end of the paper clip. Doesn't matter which end. But you're going to make it into a double or a triple knot attached to your paper clip. I have posted some more up-close photos of this on the science website so that you can see in closer detail if you need to. Okay, but it should be like this now. So I have my paper clip is now attached to the 2 strings that are attached to the kite template. All right, and the next step is, we are nearly done. It's a pretty quick project. You're going to take the rest of your string and you're gonna measure about a yard of it. You can use your yardstick if you want, or you can just use a regular ruler, and you want to measure out about 36 inches. The length of this is not important if you want to, just keep the rest of it on there and see how well you can get your kite to fly. You don't have to cut it at all if you don't want. All right, I cut off about a yard here. And now I'm going to tie this single string to the other end of my paper clip. Okay, the paper clip kind of gives this, the kite the ability to swivel around in the air without getting all tied up and caught on itself. So it gives it a little bit of a swiveling action. Okay, so go ahead and tie on this string using at least, again, a double knot, preferably a triple knot, just to keep it secure. Okay, this being said, now that you've built this, if you are creating this, say, in the morning time, I would recommend not testing it till the evening. I mean, we all live in Belmont here. We all know it can get pretty breezy up in Belmont in the evenings. It is going to be the best time of day to test it is going to be in the evening time, because that's when our wind really picks up. If there isn't any wind, it's not going to really blow around. All right, so at this point, I'm going to have you leave it at this stage. What we're going to do now, though, is we are going to create some tail pieces for you to attach it. We'll make the tail pieces now, but before you actually attach the tail pieces, I want you to go out and test flying your kite without a tail at all. A tail is typically added to a kite in order to give it stability, and it helps the motion of the kite stay steady up in the air. But it's nice to see what does it look like without the tail on in the first place, because this allows you to have a comparison to make of no tail versus tail, okay? So, but we will make the tail now together so that once you've tested it, you can just, at that point, add some tail pieces on. For this project, I should show you, for mine, I just made a single tail. I just made one long looping tail. You can make any kind of tail you want, and I actually encourage you to try a lot of different tails. So you can tape it gently onto the back of your kite, and then if that tail doesn't seem to be doing anything for you, or it's not enough, if you want to take it off and try a different style of tail, I encourage you to do that. This is not necessarily the best way to make a kite tail, right? So that is a great project for you if you have the time, is to figure out what is the best way to make the tail. One thing I can say is you do want the tail material to be relatively lightweight and thin. So, you don't want a piece of paper as wide as the kite as the tail. In your science envelope, I included streamer material. This one was black. Some of you have black streamer material and some of you have green streamer material. It was just whatever I had on hand or what was available to order inexpensively. What I did for mine, and you're free to do this, if you have other ideas, it's totally fine. You can do whatever you want to do with it. This is the creative portion of it. If you have other material in your house, like maybe you have more streamer material, maybe you have curling ribbon, that might also be a good material. If you happen to have a plastic bag that you can cut into strips, that's another great material for a sled, a kite tail. But what I would recommend doing with this is I would recommend cutting it up the middle. So this will double the amount of material you have. So just go ahead and cut all the way up the center of the streamer material. This will make your kite tail material about an inch wide or slightly under maybe. Go all the way up gently and slowly so that you don't rip it, because streamer material can be a little bit fragile. Okay, what I did after I got mine cut up the center is then I divided the material into pieces. So what you could do is you could take then each half piece and then divide that in half, okay? You might want to watch this part because I am encouraging you to try doing it any way you want. And then I made loops with it. So like a circle like this, okay? If you would like to connect the ends of the loop with tape, you can do that. Or if you want to try tying it into kind of a knot to create the loop, that's fine too, like this, okay? Now we have a loop. You can then add a second loop to this to make it longer. So you can try adding one loop at a time to your kite and see what works best. You can then feed the second piece of streamer material through and you can tie this one off, okay? I think I didn't cut that one in half, but that's okay. And then, oh, I guess I did. Do that with the next one. So cut the big long piece in half and you can make another loop through. How long you make your tail is entirely up to you, and whatever style you want to make your tail is entirely up to you, including the type of material you use. If you would just like to use the streamer material, it should work. Okay? We tested my kite yesterday afternoon when it got breezy out around 5 o'clock in the evening, and it was really whipping around. So I did post a little video of that so you could see what mine does. Once you've created your tail, any way you want to make your tail, go ahead and take a piece of tape and secure it onto the back of your kite like this. And you'll have a kite of your own. And you can run it outside and give it a go and see what is going to be the best type of kite tail to make your kite fly. Okay, have fun, guys.